What are you gonna do now?
Welcome back to Word on the Street. I'm your host, Derek Wright, and we're here today in the newly renovated Dramatic Hall in downtown Peekskill. With me are managers Frank Vasquez and Jason Arango. Jason, who's the son of the owner, Gabriel, who has graciously let us use his space for our performance. What's up, guys?
Welcome. Pleasure. How's it going?
Tell us a little bit about Dramatic Hall, because I know that this place has a real interesting history and it's back.
Well, the building was built in 1837, so it's actually a local landmark. It was owned by the city for the last several years, and then Mr. Rango, the owner and the developer, purchased the building and then renovated it to its original glory. We have now Dramatic Hall, which is back, which it was Dramatic Hall when it first was opened, and then through attrition and through the years in 1920 when the Kurzall family purchased the building, it was no longer Dramatic Hall. That was debunked, and it was just solely a hardware store. It has changed into many different things over the course of its lifetime, and now it's back into, we have 11 retail spaces, first and second floor. We have Kurzall Coffee, Cricket Wireless, our AB Tax. Soon to come is going to be Sweet Ascent, which is a candy shop, historical or nostalgic candies,
Okay.
which I'm going to be opening.
Wow.
So I'm excited about that.
Okay.
And then we have the theater here on the third floor. Anytime anybody wants to come, we have our webpage. We have the peekskillcentralmarket.com and Facebook and Instagram, so they can follow us.
So have you guys had a lot of performances here as of yet?
We've had the space since October 30th was our first event, kind of our inaugural event. Then we had a couple of holiday parties, our New Year's Eve party, and then we've had a CD release party here for a local rock band, and did fantastic. It was standing room only, so
Right.
we were at full capacity, about
Great.
300 people.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was a really nice event. So, and people are booking the space for weddings, parties, things of that nature, and we are looking to do sort of a supper club feel on off nights when people want to do something in
That's
town.
awesome. That's
bring
awesome.
kind of some activity here into Peekskill, more so than just a restaurant. We want to have entertainment as well.
Okay, so once again, for our studio audience, could you tell us what your website is?
It's www.peekskillcentralmarket.com. We are currently working on the Dramatic Hall page as well.
Okay.
That is on the link, and we'll have a dedicated page to that once we start having actual full events. We are working on our kitchen for the space so that we
Okay.
can serve food and have entertainment. So those are things that we're working on for that.
Well, if you guys haven't gotten down here yet, you really need to come and see the beauty of Dramatic Hall. Tonight we're coming to you from the newly renovated Dramatic Hall in downtown Peekskill. Tonight my guest is international recording star Elisa Jones. Thank you very much for coming tonight, Elisa.
Thank you for having me.
I understand that you're coming with a group of talented young people
Yes.
to perform for us. Tell us a little bit about them.
Well, they are the Hudson Valley Ebony Strings, and I started the group back in February for the Black History Month concert that Warwick Valley was having, and they asked me to perform and do a concert with me and my band, and I thought that this would be the perfect venue for this group to debut. And so at the beginning of February, I put them together. We had 3 rehearsals, and then we did one concert. I think it was February 24th, actually. And the reason why I got this group started was when I was a kid and in school, I had a wonderful teacher, Mr. Humphrey, and he not only inspired me to be the musician that I am and to continue playing, because I was like, I'm really bad. And he's like, wow, you're quite good. And I'll never forget that at 11 years old, hearing this man who didn't know me tell me that I was good on violin, So when we were fast forward, we were in high school, my friend Hilda said to him, Mr. Humphrey, why don't we see any people who look like us in orchestra? And he goes, you know what? Let's change it. He was like, there should be more people of color playing string instruments.
Wow.
So he started a group called the Ebony Strings, and there were 5 of us. So we were the Ebony Strings Quintet, and we performed all over Colorado, because that's where I'm from originally. And we did banquets, we did concerts, we were on television, like always in the paper. So he took all of his free time and did that for me, and it empowered me, and it made me a good musician and made me want to pursue music as a profession. So now that I'm teaching students, I said, I want to continue his legacy, because this is important. And so I got these kids together. I proposed it to them. I said, and they were like, we want our own Ebony Strings. We want a group. So I said, all right, I'll put one together for you.
And how many kids do you have?
In this group, there are 12. So it's starting off with 12, and I just know that it's going to grow. My goal is to have an entire large symphony of Ebonies.
Of Ebonies, little Ebonies. Well, I understand that 2 of the members of your group are your own children.
Yes. Yeah, my son Timothy is on bass, and my daughter Mika is on cello.
And the ages in your group, they go from
5th grade up to college. So,
wow.
I'm hoping that, as we get the word out, get word on the street, but as we get the word out that, more young people will be interested in joining the group and joining this endeavor, because it's important, and it just kind of embraces students of color and African American kids to play classical music, and that it's okay to.
holding like open auditions for new members, or how do people get
So
involved?
if they want to, become a member, they can go to my website, and there they can email me. And all I ask is that you just send a video. It doesn't have to be professional or nothing. They send a video, and there's an application that they can fill out, and and then we review it and make sure that they are of the level, and then they can. They'll be a part of the group. As far as the younger division, the goal is by the fall to have a beginner Ebony Strings division, so that students who are not at the level that these kids are, or students I should say, are, then they can grow and go to that level.
So how are you finding time for all of this? You have children of your own. You have albums that you're probably in studio with.
Yeah, I'm in the studio
You're performing, and now you have the Ebony Strings. How's that working for you?
My mom said to me when I was growing up, anything worth having is worth working for, waiting for, and dealing with.
Okay.
And that there is enough time in the day to find time to do what you want to do. So if you want to do it, you'll make time.
Right.
And so I just budget my time. I know that this day at this time I have Ebony Strings. This day, this time I'm going in the studio. This day, this time I'm practicing. This day, this time I have a gig. So
that's crazy. How often do these kids in Ebony Strings, how often do they perform? Not perform, practice.
Well, the goal is once a week, so every
okay.
Thursday evening, and we practice for about an hour and a half. Just because we just started, we've maybe have had 6 or 7 rehearsals, but now I feel like the momentum's going, and we're gonna do great things, I believe.
So I've heard these kids play, and they're phenomenal. Oh. How do you handpick these kids, because they were playing in other places and you just pick them out to put them together? How does that work?
I know some of them are my private students.
Okay.
So because I teach private violin and private viola.
Okay.
And so some of them are from the town in which I live. So I extended the invitation, and I'm like, I know how you play. So if this is an endeavor that you're interested in being a part of, let me know. And all of them said, absolutely. Okay. So they jumped on board.
All right, so what's next for Elisa Jones? Because I know that you have stuff cooking as well.
Yeah. Well, I just went back into the studio.
Okay.
And I'm going to be releasing a single called Forever Girl in the next month or two. I want to do it before the summer because it's a summer song. And then I have some other things that I'm recording to release after that. Mm-hmm. Some instrumental violin pieces. And then, I have shows that are coming up. So they all coincide with the release of my new single.
Okay. Well, I'd be remiss if I didn't speak about Mark McNutt, who also came with you, and your manager, Philip Randazzo. What's next for Ebony Strings? Are they going to be performing down here in Peekskill? Because we have quite a few venues that cater to young kids that they'd probably be great at.
Phil is amazing at getting the word out, and he does all of our online PR, and he books gigs for us. So I know that with Ebony Strings, we'll be down back at Peekskill. Right. Phil is already like, I got things working. He's like, I'm working on some things for you. And Mark, he's such an amazing a friend and a guitar player. He's been there every step of the way with building this group. And
that's great. All right, so here's the fun part. And this is what I ask all my guests. You've been performing how long professionally?
Professionally? Well, I guess the definition of professional, what I tell my students, is when you make money.
It's getting paid.
So I've been getting paid to play violin since I was 14.
Wow. Okay, so here's the question. What's your absolute best gig ever?
Oh, that's so hard because I see myself as like 3 different people or artists. You know, I'm a violinist, I'm a singer-songwriter, and I'm a singer.
No, not the best gig that you want to have. The best gig that you've had.
I know, but there's like one in each one.
Come on, give me one.
Okay. Well, if I had to just say this was the best gig I've ever had was, wow, there's so many, but maybe when I was in Australia and I was touring with Wilson Pickett.
Wow.
Then that would be, I loved those shows and I loved Australia. I mean, and, you know, and the camaraderie with the guys in the band, it was, you know, they were like family. So I would say if I had to just pick one, I would say that was it. If I looked at me on the local scene of my favorite gigs, I would say when I'm at the winery, Warwick Valley Winery with my band, you know,
Okay.
As a classical musician, when I play with the Colorado Ebony Strings, because I'm still a part of that group.
Oh, really?
And we still do performances. We have performances this summer in Colorado.
Oh, that's great.
So as a string player, I'm like, yay, my Ebony Strings, and we're back together. So that's why I said, like, there's different, you know.
So tell me about this Wilson Pickett thing. There's a lot of people that know your music and they know of you as a phenomenal violinist, but they don't realize that you sing as well.
Yeah. The gig actually just kind of fell into my lap. I got a phone call, and my friend, she was like, oh, you know, would you ever want to do background singing? And I'm like, yeah, sure. I'm game. And so I get this call on my answering machine, and they're asking me, you know, to go on tour to Portugal, and can I do the gig or not? And I'm like, but I don't like to fly. Let me think about it. So I thought about it, and I didn't even know. I shouldn't even say this.
Pickett was.
Yeah, I didn't even know who he was. And my mom had to tell me. And she's like, are you crazy? Do the gig. I love that man. And I'm like, oh, all the music you play at Christmas, you know. So I took the gig, and it was great because I was a fan. I watched him, and he was amazing. I learned so much watching him perform and how he interacted with the audience. And I remember one show he told me, he goes, when you're on stage with me, he goes, you're having so much fun. I said, I am, because I feel like you just plucked me out of the audience and I got to be in the great seat, you know?
Okay.
But he was great. And we toured with a lot of great people, like Ray Charles. And,
wow.
Yeah, and I met
That's
him
ridiculous.
and hung out with him backstage. Like, it's just, I've been blessed.
So what was your worst gig?
Ooh, my worst. Now that one's easy. I was playing, I won't mention the town or the name of the establishment, but I was playing at a bar and there were like 15 people there, and everyone was more interested in watching football than listening to us play.
Wow.
And it was the longest 3 hours of my
3
life.
hours.
Yeah, because we did a set, take a break, another set, take a break, and then a last set. It was the longest 3 hours. And I just remember going home, laying on my couch, just crying. I was like, oh, this is so bad. Like, you go from, stadiums full of people to 15 people watching TV and ignoring you. Like, that was rough.
That's crazy. Well, listen, we don't have much time. Elisa Jones, could you give our audience information on how to contact you?
Yes.
Because I'm sure they're going to really want to get in touch with you after they hear your group.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I can be found at elisajones.com, ELISSAJONES.com, and the name of the group that you heard today is the Hudson Valley Ebony Strings. You can find us on Facebook. You can also find us through my website.
Okay. Well, before I give you a little time to yourself on your violin, I'd like to give a special shout. None of this would be possible without my director, James Brooks, my audio and photographer people, Joe and Helen Pisano. These guys hold me together. Really love them. But I'd like for you to feel what's inside of your heart and play something, play anything for our guest.
Maybe I'll do a song called Before the Sun.
Okay?
It's on my Black album.
The Black Album.
The Black album.
All right. And there you have it. Elisa Jones, everyone. Stay tuned. You guys are in store for some very good music. You can find us on YouTube, Cablevision, of course, and we're also on Fios right now. So thank you very much for tuning in. Have a great night. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.